and welcome back to Pass and Move. And for today's episode, the third one of our series, Dortmund one, we do have RBL to show you in the game, of course, and we do have to cover some things since the last episode. So there is no good news, my friends. We're in not ninth place. There's been 9 games played, and we're actually in 11th out of an 18-team division. So we're doing very poorly. You can't even say we're a mid-table team. We're 11 points, 14 points off from Bayern Munich, and this save might be over quicker than it's even begun, really. Just the third episode and we're already struggling. There's been some huge issues, really, and I've been trying to figure out, but nothing's really necessarily working. We'll try and see, we'll make some tweaks ahead of today's game. We'll quickly go through what happens in the last episode. So it's been a while. We showed you Leverkusen game. We played all of these down to RBL here today, which is our game of the month to show you, really. So after Leverkusen, it sort of sent us off spiraling, really, a huge dip in form since that match. And against Basel, we only managed a 0-0 draw, which was not good. But considering it's the first Champions League game of the season, it was okay, and we thought we'd be alright in the next few games. But BMG, we thought we got things back rolling with a win, 4-2 win. Yarmolenko opening the scoring first, Aubameyang managing to grab the second. Of course, there was some late scare through Rafael and Lars Stindl, but Götze and Papastopoulos helped us wrap things up quite comfortably too. Wolfsburg was just a 2-2 draw away from home. Again, I just thought that would be okay. Bayern was a 1-1 draw with Götze scoring, and Lewandowski kind of ruining our hopes there in the close to the 70th minute of the game. Respectable results, I suppose, away from home against a tough team, and at home to a tough team as well, which we dominated in truth, but unfortunately couldn't finish off, I suppose. Against Copenhagen, where it started to get a bit concerning. We were the away team, so you can kind of understand a result that's not a win, but at the same time we should really be beating this type of opposition. And at the same time Zeka scored in the 83rd minute. Latter stages of the game. Unfortunately, we couldn't come back and actually secure the win. But Aubameyang did score the first goal, and I thought we could cruise through, but my players lost their concentration in the dying embers of the match, and that kind of spiraled on with a loss to Mainz, I think it's Mainz, with a 2-0 loss away from home. The type of opposition we should be beating. The same can be said about Hamburg, and what's worse is we were at home at this point, and Kostic and Rode, the player we actually sent out on loan, both scoring against us. And even though Aubameyang got the goal in the 64th minute, we couldn't even get a draw. Against Juventus, a 5-2 loss, a huge one, but we are away from home, so you can kind of understand it, but definitely could have done better. And Hanover once more really rubbed salt in our wounds with a 2-1 loss. Marcel Schmelzer scoring in the 81st minute, but really after Jonathas scored his double, there was no hope for us. Augsburg, 1-0 away win in the German Cup second round, but you can kind of expect that, and you can actually even say that we underperformed in this match. But win is a win, and we're in through to the next round of the German Cup. Our main concern is actually the Champions League. Obviously the league as well, but the Champions League, we might actually be knocked out before even anything happens. So 3 games have been played, we've got 3 more, we've just got 2 points to our name. Thankfully Basel underperforming with us, but really we're going to have to do better in the second half of the Champions League group stage games. And of course in the league we do have to just keep getting wins. If we win today, we'll go up to 7th possibly, and of course keep winning, we can keep climbing up the table. Bayern have an exceptional season, but anyone here we should be performing better than we have been so far. But yeah, I'm starting to understand why Dortmund are struggling in real life as well. They sort of had a very similar start to our season. They came out the blocks firing and then soon started to dip in form. And we're having a very similar season here, and I think a lot of that has to do with our unbalanced squad. Too many wingers, too many advanced playmakers, and it's just a mess really in terms of our players. And so I need to sort it out as soon as possible. Tactics wise, is a bit of my mistake for forcing players to play in positions they might not necessarily be too comfortable in, but I just want to say that I've played with teams who have had just about this average role suitability before and still gotten good results, and we do have a solid tactic, it's just underperforming. I've made some tweaks, like I've added shoot on sight and get stuck in, because we don't have anyone putting in hard tackles. Like we said, we needed a ball winning midfielder, so we just added the get stuck in since we don't have anyone for that. We've also added shoot on sight because we don't necessarily have anyone who actually just lets to shoot. I think the only two roles in the game is the Segunda Volante and the sweeper for some reason. So very deep players who are just shooting for fun, and we have neither of them. So I thought we could add the shoot on site, and it seemed to help because we were struggling to really get our shots away in the past few games. So we'll see whether we need it or not today as well. I feel like a lot of this the issue with our tactic as a whole, as well as the structured team shape, doesn't seem to be doing us too much good. So we're going to start today's game with fluid and see if that helps us. I feel like it's partly the reason why we started to perform really well in the early stages, because the team didn't necessarily become structured just yet. So I feel like playing on a fluid might help us a bit, and I feel playing more direct or high tempo sort of football kind of suits the whole fluid team shape thing. And I also feel well, actually it could all be wrong, and it could just be that the AI or the robot or the whatever you want to call it, the game figured out my weaknesses and they're starting to exploit it. But in truth, other than that we're a tiny bit attacking in our central midfield positions, I can't see us necessarily having too many weaknesses. I'm just going to quickly change Papastopoulos to centre defence. Some players have come in for other players because of the poor forms. This is the team that we're going with. We can talk more about it in, when we actually start the game. But Royce is really the only player who's been injured for a while, 6 weeks to 2 months. Toprak's only just recently got injured, so it's not a huge deal. We've generally had a fully fit squad, and we do need Aubameyang to come back to that early season form and start performing for us some more. But there are definitely huge underperformers in our squad. So let's see if fluid helps that and if these little tactical tweaks we've made. Otherwise, we might have to seriously consider changing our tactic entirely. The formation's definitely nailed down. Even my assistant manager recommends a 4-2-3-1, but we might have to consider changing into something that might suit inside forwards a little bit more, since we're forcing our players to play as wingers and they're not necessarily too comfortable with it. But anyways, I think we can finally kick off. I feel like we covered everything. I did mention transfer window last time. I think it was over then as well. And that's kind of it. The board are stable in terms of my job security. They're okay with me. I think winning the German Super Cup has helped me. Otherwise, I might have already possibly been fired. But you can assume if in 2 months' time we're still underperforming, I will be fired. The expectations of Europa Champions League football, I think we can definitely still get that. We're only 7 points away from it. But we have to do better because obviously there's only 34 games in a first division football. So that's kind of it. In terms of finances, still really good. Projection is really good as well. 125 million, I can do some serious damage as well. Completely change this team, but that's where we went if we make it to the summer transfer window. So I think we can kick off, and hopefully this is the team to get the result that is needed, and the tactics to get the result that is needed. Of course, switching to fluid won't mean instant results, but if we do see some positive changes here today, then we can possibly continue playing a fluid style of football. Playing with a 4-4-2 RBL is always tough to face against them, and always tough to crack in truth. But yeah, I think we should be able to take advantage of playing an attacking midfielder and getting behind this Campbell and Slanka midfield. In terms of our own players, Aubameyang, of course, our leading goal scorer, as it says here. Guerrero has finally come back from his injury. He's taken over Yarmolenko, who's had a dip in form. Pulisic is going to be our attacking midfielder. Götze has also had a dip in form. Schöller is taking over as well, and he's been performing well since, so I haven't really been able to drop him. Weigl comes in, but Kagawa keeps his place. Toyan is one of our right backs, and Schmelz is the other full back. Papastopoulos and Subotic are going to be the ones that are partnered, and really the only changes are not forced by injuries or fitness, but just purely on form. Subotic had a good game for us last game, and he'll be keen to keep it up really. In terms of expectations, I think we should be able to win. We're favourites, and I think we can definitely go with I expect nothing but win. I think we could have gone with the form one in truth, but try and end the poor form, but I think I've used that about 3 times in a row, so maybe a change will see some good. I think we've got everything set well. I still have replays on. TV, alright, okay, I think we're set. There you go, let's kick off. This one's a bit too zoomed in for my liking, and I feel like that's about the right height. But yeah, RBL have already gotten a shot in, but so have we. It's good to see it's on target. Putting your players on having shots on, on site whenever they want doesn't necessarily mean you'll have a ton of shots with no shots on target. As you can see, already 2 shots and 2 on target. So you just have to make sure you have good shooters, of course. RBL though coming really close there. And some early warning signs from a 4-4-2 formation who are keeping possession better than ourselves, who are playing 4-2-3-1. I feel like playing more direct passing is not helping our team. But it's completely unexplainable. If anyone's got any suggestions, I'm all ears for it. Guerrero though, can he score from this free kick? No, he cannot, and God knows why he's taking the set pieces. But yeah, I don't really have any explanation for why we started off so well and then started to underperform. I felt like the direct style of football really started to suit us and we're playing really well, but maybe playing players out of position and sort of forcing it. But I was just trying to get the best out of Aubameyang. But it hasn't necessarily worked out for us, so I may have to consider, if the form does continue, switching our tactics up to try and save, well, my career and Dortmund's season. But anyways, Guerrero on the ball, the winger, what can he do? Back to Weigl, deep line playmaker, finds Pulisic to Guerrero. Can he find anyone through? And he does. There's too many options, and Socrates is the one he goes for, and unfortunately he misses. And out of all the bodies in the box there, what an unusual... I mean, I think some of them were offside, to be fair, but Socrates of all people is not going to be scoring that. Papastotopoulos, that's the one. But anyways, at least we're not losing yet. Kagawa can lose the ball out to RBL, and Augustin is going to try and get his team going here. Really direct, easy ball out to Werner. And thankfully, Rulli, as a sweeper keeper, comes out to actually clear that up for us, and that's the type of football that we're really attempting to play. I feel like maybe playing more direct passing doesn't necessarily help when you're playing a 4-2-3-1. Might suit to play a 4-4-2 a bit more, but we don't have the strikers for it, so we are stuck with the formation. It's really about just switching the tactics, but we do want to be playing that type of football through to Aubameyang whenever possible, just lumping it forward for him, because obviously he has the pace to get in behind everyone. Having said that, Guerrero on the set piece, easy for Orban, and Weigl has a better chance for more delivery. Finds Kagawa. Can he find anyone through? No, Socrates instead, and this time it's to Kagawa, and it's back to Weigl, just keeping the ball a little bit, but need to try and get a turn in there. Pulisic through to Aubameyang. What's he going to do? Finds Guerrero. What a mess, we're just passing it about stupidly in truth. But Toyan's free here. Can he put a good ball into the box? Yes he can. Aubameyang! And the ball's out of play. That is a first clear-cut chance if you ask me. I think the game didn't count it, but we will need to be scoring those chances if we want any hope of getting anything out of this game. Having said that, it looks like we've outperformed RBL, which is good to see. Maybe fluid does suit us a hint more. But let's try and get more out of this game. I don't want to necessarily tell them off. I think we have been the better team. Morale's not exactly amazing to be telling these players off, but I do want to keep a balance of saying that I need to see more. They're itching to get out there, so it looks like whatever we said is working, and it's all about turning words into performance, isn't it? Schmelzer, Kagawa, Pulisic. That's the end of that. Anyways, Toyan is the only... Is his name even Toyan? I feel like I've been saying it wrong the whole time. Can't even select him for some reason. I think he's German, so I'm very likely saying that wrong, but he's Toyan for now. So he's the only one with the yellow, which is good to see considering we're playing a get stuck in sort of thing. I'm actually going into attack. I forgot to change that during half time. We should try and do something here. RBL are the ones who are trying to do something. Subotic clears it, but only as far as Forsberg. Thankfully they've sort of gone back a little bit, but they still do get the header away. And apparently there's an advantage somewhere in there. That commentary is a bit confusing, but either way. Schmelzer. Guerrero. Can he take his man on and deliver a good ball into the box? Nope, he just tries to stupidly shoot from a ridiculous range. For some reason the commentator thinks that was brilliant, and for some reason the game thought, let me show them this highlight for them to get falsely excited by. Schürrle is underperforming, but we don't actually have Phillips on the bench to take him off for. Yarmolenko is a left winger because we are trying to play with wingers, so it's actually Guerrero who should be coming off for him. So see if there's anyone tired. It's Shinji Kagawa, and I think Castro's is an advanced playmaker as well. So no real changes needed to make just yet. Hopefully Schürrle can change his game and turn things around for himself. But yeah, 60 minutes, no goals for either team. It's proven to be a bit of a dull affair so far. Let's try and see if there's anyone ready to come off yet now. Still Schürrle, the only one underperforming. some players having quiet games, but no one necessarily underperforming. We'll take off, we go for Castro now. We really do need to try and get Götze and Yarmolenko off the bench. I could make the substitutions now, but I feel like just give it a hint more. I feel like we're really close to scoring. Having said that, might have just cursed my team, and Burma can find Islenker here. Finds Upamenko free, and Augustin almost punishes us there. And for a second, it really did look like that was in. There was a bit of a weird angle for the game to show us. It's going to do that weird freezing thing. I don't know if anyone has any bugs like this, but it says waiting for next highlight, but it's not actually. Alright, there you go. Alright. Are we going to see a late winner? I'm hoping to rely on my players' fitness, since theirs is better than RBL's. I reckon we can capitalize on their lack of fitness. Schürrle's still the only one underperforming. A couple of players here tired though, so I think we can finally make those substitutions. And I think I will actually go for Guerrero, for Yarmolenko, and not Götze, but Gonzalez instead, since Aubameyang's having a worse game than Pulisic is. And now we can change Pulisic to a shadow striker, which I think he's quite comfortable doing. We'll switch the striker into the complete forward on support role. And that, no, not poacher. Now we should see some better movement, some better balance to our squad. And since it's the 80th minute, I'm going to go into overload because we cannot afford anything less than a win at this point. So let's look for the early crosses. Let's clear the ball into flanks, let's pass into space and run at defense and really take more risks overall, as well as playing overload, of course, which is insane in itself. Cleared initially, but only to Bruma, who finds Upamenko again. Yarmolenko puts a really good tackle in, but still with Bruma. Walter is the one who caused the damage this time, and Schürrle can set us off with a counter-attack. Good ball to Pulisic, the shadow striker, getting really forward. And all he has to do is take his man on and deliver a good ball, and he does that. Good ball. Yes, he does, and it's Walter who scores. And there you go, the goal we were looking for, and we can finally go back to control. I don't feel we necessarily need to go into contain, because I feel like we've sort of managed RBL so far. They've had a decent amount of shots, a clear-cut chance. You know what, we might be a bit smart to go into contain, but I feel like we'll be okay. Maybe it's a false feeling, but... Replay? No replay? That's weird. I've asked for a replay. Should we go back and see it anyways? Let's zoom in maybe. But it's the same angle, sorry. Pulisic, Walter. Simple as it gets, really. I'm so confused though. There's director and replay. This makes no sense. Either way, 1-0 up against RBL, who aren't performing too well themselves this season, but they are better than us. And to be fair, you would say that they're having a season that you'd expect them to have. Having said that, there's an immediate highlight, or is it because it's still running over? It is, isn't it? Alright, there you go. Is there a highlight now? Is this it? How do I go back to live? What if I go here, press play? Oh, there you go, live. Alright, let's do that. Alright, we just have to survive for a couple of more minutes, but there's a highlight, and is it in our favour or is it in RBL's? I'm hoping we catch them out for being too attacking. Pulisic can't win the header, so Deme gets away to his team, but Toyan cuts it out, and it's Castro on the ball, deep line playmaker. It was on for Schürrle to make that run. He's sort of half committed there. And suddenly RBL are through. It's not offside either, and Augustin can punish us, and it's really not working for us. Our defenders do not know how to play with a high line for some weird reason. I'm not even pushing them up. It's just an offside trap. And we've got a sweeper keeper as well, but it just does not work. Bunch of mistakes in truth. But let's go back into overload and see if we can sneak in something for the last few moments of the game. Early crosses, clear ball to flanks, run on that defense, pass into space, and take more risks once more. And really, it seems as though a change in tactics is needed. Ask me, there's not too many roles we can change in truth. It's just the wingers or inside forwards, and that's kind of it. I can't really change the midfield. Deep line playmaker and advanced playmaker is the only combination we can really go for with the players that I have at my disposal. And Augustine has scored a double in a very short period of time. And suddenly we've gone from winning the game to losing it. And I definitely now know that I should have gone for Contain. Immediate highlight though. So is it going to be a bunch of back and forth goals or what? Spelzer to Yarmolenko. Takes his man on really well. Can we get bodies into the box, please? Good delivery, Yarmolenko. Yes, to Walter. And this just hit the post. But Schürrle to Kagawa to Pulisic. Oh, he's tackled, but apparently not a penalty. Looked quite clean in truth. But we are being punished for our own inefficiency today. And our poor defending. 2 clear-cut chances to RBL and 1 clear-cut chance to ourselves. And you can argue that RBL have actually had a better game than ourselves. There's certainly a case for that. And we are not doing well at all. Predicted a win for RBL? Really, you did? Why were we favourites then? Either way, not good enough. And that's the end of that. In this Dortmund squad, I always struggle with unbalanced squads in truth. I always tried making a halfway tactic, I suppose, a tactic where I'm like, this is what the players are comfortable with, but this is how the tactic would work at the same time, and also try and make use of this unbalanced squad. I think we had about 6 wingers when I first came in, and you know, unless you're playing like 4 wingers on the same pitch, then you really don't need that many numbers. I need to figure this out. It says that I'm unwilling to experiment, which is fair enough in terms of the formation itself, but I don't feel like the formation is an issue. We might go with the 4-3-3 though. Problem is we've only got 1 defensive midfielder in Weigl, and that's a bit of an issue. But maybe a 4-3-3 would make the most sense. Playing with wingers, direct football, would that help though? I'm not sure. But anyways, change is definitely needed, and we'll see what tactical tweaks we can come up with. If you've got any suggestions, then definitely leave it in the comment section below. I'll have a look at it and see whether, you know, there's anything that I can apply. But really, there doesn't seem to be too much hope for this Dortmund save. In terms of when we will be back, I mean, just look at that. A bunch of greens in the beginning, and then suddenly just a whole lot of reds. A couple of random wins. We need to win against Juventus. We've got a couple of games in November, so we don't know which one we'll show you just yet. Juventus, Gelsenkirchen, Köln, Basel, Freiburg, and Stuttgart are our options. So Stuttgart, Freiburg, Köln, Gelsenkirchen. I might be back for that Gelsenkirchen game. They are our rivals, which would make sense, but we might have to consider actually coming back for Köln, who are obviously you know, an interesting team to take on. Yeah, I think it's the one that makes the most sense to actually show you. Gelsenkirchen. So just a single game in Juventus, and that means we should be back very soon, of course. But yeah, if you did enjoy today's episode, then of course please hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. And as always, guys, thank you all very much for watching.